Did you know that many African countries that speak French have to keep half of their money in a bank in France? This rule came from an agreement made when these countries were colonies of France. But here's something else surprising. Some African countries like Nigeria and Ghana have been keeping their gold in the United States for safekeeping since they got their independence. But now the president of Burkina Faso, Mr. Traore, and some other African countries have decided to bring their gold and money back home from the United States. In France, people are asking why and why now. Let's find out. France and its African colonies signed a pact. This pact let France control the economies of the African states. France took their foreign money reserves. All the French-speaking countries keep their money in the Central Bank of France. It's estimated that France has almost $500 billion from African countries in its treasury every year. The bad part is that the African countries can't get to this money. In fact, France made the former colonies put 65% of their foreign money reserves in the French treasury and 20% for financial debts. So they only have 15% of their own money. And if they need more money, they have to borrow it from France at market rates. These African countries pay taxes to France, but their people are not French. They don't get the benefits of the public goods and services that their money pays for. It's not surprising that France is so developed because they use money from Africa. One big question is, do French people know they have been living off the wealth of African countries for over 50 years? And if they do know, what do they think about it? Do they even care? France holds half the money for some African countries. These countries also use a currency called the CFA franc that's managed by France. They have to tell France about their money situation every year. The Bank of France controls the CFA franc and sets the rules for money stuff. So the countries that use the CFA franc don't have much say in how prices go up or down in their own countries. Plus, France can make the CFA franc worth less whenever it wants. In 1994, France made the CFA franc worth half as much. By doing this, France keeps its ex-colonies in Africa owing it lots of money. This means these countries keep borrowing more and more money. So how can these countries get better if they're always busy using money they don't even have? For the last 50 years, they have been making money to pay a debt from when countries were colonies. Before we go on, don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. But not every African leader was okay with this. Thomas Sankara from Burkina Faso, for example, wanted his country to be free from France's control. He wanted his country to be economically independent. Thomas Sankara, the leader of Burkina Faso, wanted the country's gold to stay in Burkina Faso. He also wanted the gold mines to belong to the country. But France didn't like this, so they had him killed. Then his friend Blaise Compaoré became the leader, and France still got the gold. Another leader, Laurent Gbagbo of Ivory Coast, also wanted to keep his country's gold in his country. He didn't like that France was keeping the gold and getting rich. France didn't like this either, so they did something about it. In 2011, there was a big election in Ivory Coast. Laurent was accused of cheating in the election. Then French soldiers helped take him to the International Court of Justice. A new leader, Alassane Ouattara, who is friendly with France, became the new ruler. He has been leading the country for 14 years and has given a lot of power to France. But some leaders in the Sahel region, like President Traore of Burkina Faso, want to change the money system. They want their gold back from France's vaults. They think it's been there for too long, but that's not the end of the story. President Traore made a big change. Before, half of the country's gold was kept in a bank in France, but now he made a new bank in Burkina Faso. This new bank gives Burkina Faso the power to do money stuff on its own. They don't have to ask the West African States Bank for help. This means France can't mess with Burkina Faso's money anymore. Traore's plan is to get rid of the CFA franc and have a new currency. Burkina Faso is also collecting more gold in the new bank. They have a special place to get gold from the ground, and they already made 44 gold bars with Burkina Faso's sign on them. So not only did Traore get back the country's gold from France, he also started collecting more gold. How cool. Now let's talk about something really interesting. Other African leaders are also doing what Traore did. You know, it's common for countries to keep their gold in another country. This started during World War II, when a lot of gold was moved to keep it safe. After the war, some countries felt that they didn't have a safe place to keep their gold, so they decided to keep it in different banks in countries that had safe places. One of the most important countries with a safe place for gold is the United States. It has the biggest gold reserve in the world, and 90% of it belongs to other countries. This means that these countries trust the United States to keep their gold safe. But now it seems that this trust is going away. African and Middle Eastern countries are taking their gold back from the United States. This simply means that these countries are taking back their gold from the US. Interesting, right? Some countries like Nigeria, Ghana, Cameroon, and Senegal are close friends with the United States. They have a good relationship. They also want to bring back their gold from the United States. South Africa, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia also want to do the same. But why? Why are they bringing back their gold? Well, Nigeria wants to keep its money safe. They heard that the United States might not be doing so well, so they want to be careful. That's why they're bringing their gold back home. The article also says that Nigeria wants to show that it can make its own choices and be independent in the world. By managing its gold reserves, Nigeria can show that it can handle its own business without outside interference. Ghana also did something similar for the same reason. This is happening at a time when the world economy is uncertain and people are worried about the U.S. financial system. An economist named Joseph Mensah thinks it's smart for Ghana to take back its gold from the U.S. This is to protect against any problems in the U.S. economy. Other countries are doing the same thing. They're worried about the U.S. economy not being so strong anymore. The U.S. has a lot of debt and prices keep going up. People are not so sure the U.S. can keep the money system steady. So countries are not so confident in the U.S. anymore. Countries in Africa and the Middle East are taking an important step. They are moving their gold from other countries back to their own. This is not just about being careful with money. It's also about making sure they can protect themselves in case things with money get bad. Even though the world stopped using the gold standard, countries still keep gold as a backup. They do this in case money loses value, or if there's trouble with how countries get along. By moving their gold back home, these countries want to keep their money safe from any problems that might happen in the future. One big reason for this move is because of something that happened in 2022. The United States punished Russia by taking its money. This made other countries worried that the United States might do the same thing to them. Since then, many countries have been bringing their gold back home. Some experts say that countries are also moving their gold because of a group called BRICS. This group is led by China and Russia. They want to make the world less dependent on the US dollar. They want countries to use their own money for trading instead. China and Russia even made a big deal to trade without using US dollars. They will use their own currencies instead. BRICS is also working on making its own money, likely with gold to back it up. Since 2023, BRICS members have been buying lots of gold. Some of the countries that want their gold back from the US are either planning to join BRICS or are already members. So the big question is, will these countries be able to get their gold back? Let's talk about a country that wanted its gold back from the United States. During the Cold War, Germany kept a lot of its gold in New York, London, and Paris to keep it safe from the Soviet Union. In 2012, because of some money problems, Germany wanted to check on its gold. But when they asked to see it, the Federal Reserve Bank of New York said no. This made people think that maybe the gold was gone, sold, or lent out. Germany asked for its gold back, and after a long wait, the U.S. said it would take 7 years to give it back. In 2017, Germany said they got half of their gold back. But some people think the U.S. might have sold Germany's gold and then quickly bought some back. This makes people wonder if the U.S. can be trusted. Some African countries might have a hard time getting their gold back. This makes some countries start to doubt the U.S. Even France, a friend of the U.S., says Europe should not depend too much on the U.S. This makes people think about what might happen to the U.S. in the future. Will Africa still be a strong world power, or will it be taken down? And what does this mean for African countries that support the U.S.? These are really important questions that we'll find answers to soon. But check this out, a big change is happening in Africa. Africa's main problem isn't the West, but rather the lack of strong leaders who can stand up to the West. But since 2020, new leaders have started to show up. It all began with a takeover in Mali, then it spread to Burkina Faso in 2022 and Niger in 2023. There were other takeovers in Guinea, Gabon, and Chad, But the takeovers in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso are different. Not only were they peaceful, but they also brought out really good leaders who have made big changes in Africa's politics. Dr. Name is one of these leaders, and he used to represent Africa in Washington, D.C. A person from Zimbabwe named Arikana Chihomborekwao said that the coups in some African countries are like a big change. She thinks that the leaders who took over in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso are the kind of leaders that Africa needs. Even some important people in the United States said that these military leaders are different from other African leaders. They called them sophisticated, which means very smart and special. These leaders have made big changes since they came into power. They kicked out French forces and ended the control France had over their countries. They have taken control of their own resources and are making decisions that benefit their people. For example, Burkina Faso has stopped exporting gold to the West and is building a gold refinery to get more value for its resources. Mali has also signed a deal with Russia to build a gold refinery. These leaders have chosen to partner with countries like Russia and China instead of always working with the West. These countries prefer to work with Africa based on mutual benefits. Recently, Niger made history by becoming the first African country to send the U.S. The American soldiers in Niger haven't made the country safer. It seems like Niger hasn't really gained anything from having them there. It's strange that the old government agreed to let them stay, but the new leaders in Niger said no and told the American soldiers to leave. Chad also said they might make the American soldiers leave. This is a big deal because Chad is a good friend of France and the U.S. They might have the courage to do this because Niger did it first. If Chad doesn't leave, it will talk with the United States for better benefits. Africa is taking control of its future. Military leaders in the Sahel are making big changes in African politics. Other African countries are waking up too. For example, South Africa is taking a friend of the United States, Israel, to court for genocide. This means going against the United States. South Africa is not backing down, despite the risks and threats from the United States. Things are changing and a revolution has started. Other African countries should join this revolution. Africa's friends don't really want the continent to do well. They'd rather keep Africa poor to help themselves. So it's important for all Africans to come together and work for change. Africa is for Africans. What do you think about this? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, and share it with others. Let's make a difference together.